They say water is life, with its quality and supply being fundamental to all living organisms. For residents of Juja, a town in Kiambu County, formerly known as Weru and Arugu, accessing clean and safe drinking water is a nightmare. Though the region is known to be swampy, potable water supply is a problem, forcing majority of area residents to rely fully on borehole water for domestic use as well as for drinking. But it is this fallback that appears to be putting their lives at risk.
Of course, at home, kuosha vyombo, washing clothes, yeah, na kunywa at the same time.
Hii maji ya kuchimbwa kwa plot hii, masaa nyingine ukienda kuchota ukioga, unajikuta unadikuna. Masaa nyingine inakuja na mapovu. Saa nashindwa shida iko wapi.
Unajua wakati tulikuwa nakunywa hiyo maji ya kisima, alafu baadaye hiyo maji ya kisima ilikuwa kuchanganya na maji ya sewage. Alafu tumewacha kutumia juu watu walikuwa nasikia kuumwa na tumbo.
With area residents decrying a rise in strange ailments, we were joined by a team of experts from the University of Nairobi's Department of Geology and Hydrology on a task of collecting borehole water samples from several boreholes within Juja. To the consternation of the experts from the University of Nairobi, the presence of pit latrines close to the boreholes already raised eyebrows.
Considering the level of the water, it is too high, almost on the surface, meaning that the waste that is flowing near the well can simply go to the well and contaminate the water.
After several weeks of waiting, as the test and analysis were conducted on the water samples, we were back at Chiromo campus to collect the results. The results indicated high concentration of nitrates way beyond the Kenya Bureau of Standards specifications, which allow for 10 milligrams per liter, raising the red flag that there was clear contamination.
Given the geology of that particular area, that this one has been contaminated by anthropogenic or human sourced nitrogen. So from either leaking pit latrines or leaking septic tanks or application of fertilizers or disposal of nitrogen containing compounds on the surface, which eventually find their way into the groundwater.
As for the fluoride concentration, the levels were within the KBC specifications.
We also looked at fluoride. And we find that the fluoride levels are generally below the limit of 1.5 milligrams per liter.
But it was the test to determine concentration of copper and iron which will leave the team worried.
In this particular case, this is water which was from hand-dug wells. And so the likely source of high copper levels could be related perhaps maybe to the lining that was used to make the wells. Maybe they used copper wires to shape the wells and build the walls. Iron actually is one of the most ubiquitous elements on the surface of the earth, and in volcanic rocks such as in that particular area, it tends to be quite abundant. And so we could expect these are now slightly elevated levels of iron.
The results of water samples collected in Juja is a clear indication that area residents are exposed to dangerously high levels of toxins. Dr. Betty Okero says those taking the water remain at great risk of contracting deadly ailments.
So most people will notice that water has copper or excess metal elements by the tastes they have. It's either bitter. It doesn't taste like what water should taste like. It has a characteristic bitterish taste. And what does that do? So then people start complaining of nausea, dizziness, stomach upsets, a bit of acid, all right, gastric disturbances, and some even have diarrhea. What happens when you have excess iron? All right, then we have hemorrhagic necrosis. Or then the lining of the mucus lining of the intestinal wall and the gastric system then starts getting like sort of wounds, like it's being chopped off, and it's like parts of it are dying. That mucus element is dying. excess nitrates in your system can actually lead to cancer. Some certain cancers, especially stomach and intestinal cancers, have been linked to excess nitrates in the water.
But what are the possible alternatives to ensure that the water is at least safe for drinking?
In areas like those, the water filters, I see them now in the supermarkets, because that will absorb in much of the elements. For the case of copper, you probably want to run your tap for about 30 seconds or 1 minute. Just run it before you fetch your water to drink. For the case of iron, there is no definite treatment line. It's just avoid what would put you in that situation.
The Water Sector Trust Fund has developed an innovative technology to ensure that effluent is cleaned before being released to groundwater. The technology is believed to be one way of preventing groundwater from being contaminated.
Because the concept started with, that's why it's called upscaling basic sanitation for the urban poor. We started with giving close to 500 toilets per county. They were sold out. We needed to follow the whole value chain of sanitation to say, hiyo uchafu itaenda wapi? Where will that sludge from that septic tank, where will it go? And that is why we came up with this system called the DTFs. We tried close to 19 of them, and by the way, some failed. And that is why we came up with this system that really worked.
So far, it is working in 9 counties, even as the fund plans to roll it across other regions. Nairobi County government is in the process of setting up a number of boreholes to address the prevailing water shortage in different parts of the county.
Before the borehole is done, there is what is called the environmental impact assessment report, which is done by a professional environmentalist to document environmental issues that will need to be taken care of. So when implementation comes, you will do it guided by those technical reports.
While this could be the solution for Nairobi residents, the water table is dropping tremendously in Kenya, an indication that underground water are overexploited, with doubts over the safety of available water still in question. Millions of Kenyans use borehole water for a lot of activities. Just like a section of residents in Juja, the same effects that they are facing might also apply to any of us unless we say enough is enough and adhere to the proper way of constructing borehole and also observe proper sanitation. Chemutai Jael for Channel 1 News.